So AT&T's analyst day just ended. It was also roughly around a 3-hour mark or so, roughly. And just like Verizon's model, AT&T over the next 3 years is investing and putting a lot of intensity on the capital structure of the business. So over the next 3 years, they're going to spend or reinvest $68 billion back into the business. So they're spending $24 billion this year, $24 billion in 2023, and then the capital intensity does drop off a bit in 2024, but only by about $4 billion. So they'll still remain quite intensive at around $20 billion. So that's around $68 billion that AT&T is going to reinvest back into the business, which is very capital intensive. The reason I say it's capital intensive because AT&T has to use free cash flow to fund that acceleration in the CapEx. So that means they're going to spend an insane amount of money. That's a lot of money towards this build out, this connectivity that AT&T is now introducing into the market. So media, very little. They didn't include it really into this presentation. They did talk about it a little bit, but again, that spinoff is happening. In fact, the shareholders today approved the spinoff. They already got it approved by the regulatory approval. I'm telling you guys right now, the first week of April, media's out the door. It's gone. They're going to spin that off very quickly. So they gave no forecast on that at all. So what's interesting here, so wireless, of course, is still very important to AT&T, but they're really trying to drive the point and change the perception to them being the best broadband company in the United States. They didn't talk about wireless in that same sentence. They kept referencing that they are the best home broadband provider in the United States. So that should tell you that fiber is becoming a priority for the company. And they want to push their fiber footprint to covering 75% of the entire network with their own fiber. So they're taking their guidance by 2025 up an additional 25% versus where Verizon will be at the end of this year. Verizon will be at 50%. They haven't guided above 50. AT&T is taking it to 75%. So that's big, of course, for AT&T because the owner economics will kick in even more. So as you can tell by the CapEx, it's an upfront investment, very intensive investment, but in the later parts, the owner economics kick in and they start saving that money. So, of course, I will leave this article in the description down below from Yahoo Finance. AT&T lays out growth strategy for company following pending close of Warner Media transaction. So, like I told you guys, that's gone. That media is done, finished, and it will be completed in the first week of April. And I'm confident in that. I'm very, very confident in that. So, networking, C-band. $6 billion going towards C-band investment this year, another $5 billion next year. So between 10 to 11 billion is what they're going to pour separate into from the CapEx into C-band and the DoD deployment. So they are still targeting that 70 to 75 million covered by the end of this year. That was their, the target that they had announced. They're still going to target that. The equipment is ramping up and coming in the warehouse later in the year. So they're still targeting that. So they're gonna have to work. There's gonna be a lot of network that's gonna be laid for AT&T to get to that 70 to 75 million. So that's a big target. And then of course by the end of 2023, they want to be at 200 million pops covered, and across that footprint, they want to have an average of 120 megahertz of mid-band on air, and that of course includes the C-band clearing for them, like both the A block. And then I believe they bought some of the A block is already clear, but the A block clearing outside of the top 46 I mean, the B and C block. So that's what they're waiting on. They're waiting on all the blocks to clear so they can deploy outside of the top 46 and get that 80 megahertz on air, plus the additional 40 megahertz that they purchased in the DoD auction, 110. So that will get them to that 120 megahertz across those 200 pops. So again, very aggressive targets, starting a bit behind, which we already knew. So nothing has really changed in terms of that guidance. We already heard the 70 to 75 million number. And then, of course, we already heard the 200 million number by the end of 23. So nothing really changed on that regard. We heard those numbers last year at the Analyst Day. So nothing really changes on that. So the fiber, like I mentioned earlier in the video, that's kind of taking priority throughout the company. So they want to touch now 30 plus million homes. It was 30 million homes the last time they guided. Now it's 30 million plus homes. That's another very interesting target. So they're targeting on the guidance hitting 3 to 4 million households per year. But it sounds like, according to Jeff, John Stankey has given them a bit more of an aggressive target, so that if they can run at a faster pace than the 3 to 4 million, they will do so. But they are going to conservatively guide 3 to 4 million households. So they could very easily update that guidance and say, okay, this year we're moving at a much faster than anticipated pace. We're going to be able to do 5 to 6 million homes. So there's some upside to that fiber program. The reason the fiber is so important is because AT&T is running statistics and analysis. If they can win the home, like if they can get that fiber product in your home and you become a broadband customer of theirs, they win you over on wireless. The conversion rates of the customer going to wireless when they sign up for fiber are through the roof. It's a win. 9 times out of 10, it's a win for them. If they can win you on the house, if they can get in your house with the fiber product, they get you to convert to wireless almost every time. So that's a big deal. That's a really, really big deal, because they are now expanding that fiber footprint outside of their current footprint, or existing footprint, I should say. So that's going to be a big deal for the growth of the company. I think AT&T thinks that's more of a success for them in the future than anything else right now. It's the fiber and then the wireless conversion that comes with the fiber. That seems to be new growth, huge amount of growth for the company moving forward. I don't think they stepped down from that target. In fact, they did say if the success is there, they can further accelerate investment where needed. So that's very interesting and very impressive, because they're going all out on that target. 100%. They're going big. They're trying to invest big to not only grow the fiber, but also grow wireless. So in terms of the targets for wireless, they did give some postpaid numbers. They said 75% of the base is unlimited, and around 27% are choosing the elite plan, the most highest ARPU plan that AT&T offers. Now, what's interesting about this, AT&T is already talking that they know or have an understanding that they're going to have to include more value onto the plans versus what the competition is offering, such as Verizon. Verizon kind of took that to the next level, and now you don't have to necessarily match it, but AT&T understands they got to add more, and they talked about that during the Q&A. T-Mobile already tried to sign up more or add more value into the plan. Now you get Apple TV for a year. You get Paramount Plus. You get YouTube TV off $10 a month. You got Netflix. So T-Mobile's already trying to include that value for the step up. As it stands today, AT&T only has HBO Max, which I still think is a great value. But even AT&T feels like, okay, hey, we need to step up our value offering in the future, especially to make our elite plan even more attractive. So outlook for the company is great. Great growth. The market is liking it. The stock is up. I think they did a very great job during the analyst day, kind of getting that point across that they are now a connectivity company. They kind of introduced that point at the very beginning with the short video and fiber. They're driving the point home that they would like the perception to change, that they are the best home broadband provider in the United States. That's what they want to push. They didn't say anything about wireless. They didn't say that they want to be the best wireless network in the United States. They kind of left that alone because that's very competitive right now, and they are starting from a point, behind. They are starting from the back end, and they're trying to catch up. But the fiber targets are very impressive, especially getting 75% of their footprint fiber owned. I mean, that's huge. That is huge. The owner economics that are going to be realized there, that's a big deal. So let me know what you think about that in the comment section down below. I still think the fact that they are going to be behind is a bit of a downer. I think they had opportunity last year to really ramp up. They didn't. But this year should be a very interesting play for them. They also, just to throw this in for those of you who stayed to the end of the video, they're going to touch sites with 2 radios. So my predictions were correct. They're going to go up on the sites with the 6449 for C-band and then the 6419 with the DoD auction 110 spectrum. They confirmed that today, and they will have 80 megahertz up and running on air this year across those markets where they have both the availability of C-band and DoD. DoD goes live nationwide middle of the year. So they have opportunity to deploy that radio in markets that don't clear, that are not part of the top 46. Will they take advantage of that opportunity? That remains to be seen. I think that would be a big target for AT&T to do so, because Verizon can't deploy anything in those markets. Well, they can deploy, but they can't turn on any C-band unless they have early clearing. So if Verizon comes to, if AT&T comes to El Paso, they deploy DoD, and this is just an example, they'll have 40 megahertz of mid-band spectrum on air, when if Verizon doesn't get early clearance, they won't have anything on air in terms of that mid-band layer. So AT&T will very quickly be able to compete with, T-Mobile's N41 in this market. Will they do that? I don't know. That was just an example, but that's where they could take the DoD. So make sure you guys stay tuned to the channel. There's lots more coming. There's a couple of breakdowns I want to do some individual videos on from the analyst day. So I'll break those down over the next few days. So make sure you guys stay tuned to the channel. Make sure you follow my social media outlets for more updates and interactions. This is Tyrone with Tech Life, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.